Get up, world. Coming to your timeline, The Unusual Suspects, a Christian's perspective on sports. Now let's meet the team.
Yo, this is Mike Third Degree Burns. And the reason they call me Third Degree is because I destroy and demolish all competition and debate.
Yo, this is Dave Willis, also known as D. Will, because I am that guy. When it comes to sports knowledge, there's nobody can touch me. I played the game, I studied the game, I know the game.
Hey, this is Yolanda Yo-Yo Parker. The yo-yo means I go up and I go down. It just depends on how you bring it. I'm the mom of 3 sons, been in sports for a long time. You can bring it, but you'll see a whole different beast.
Oh yeah, baby. It's your boy Vic Kansas. They call me Vic Kansas because I rep Kansas sports, the biggest. Jayhawks, Chiefs, Royals, Sporting KC. What's up? Nobody wants to debate me when it comes to this, because usually I win.
What's up, y'all? We back. This is The Unusual Suspects. I'm your host, Mike B, and I'm here with the crew as always. We got Yo. Say what's up to the people, Yo.
What up, peeps?
All right, we got my guy, Darian, Big Kansas. What's up, Darian?
What's going on, people? How y'all doing?
Good. We got my guy, Dave, the smooth guy. What's up, Dave?
What's good, people? What's good? I'm here.
All right, and last but not least, we got the pastor. We got Dre B in the house. What's up, Dre?
What's up? Really?
You know I had to get you, bro. But anyway, we're glad to be back with you. We know it's been a minute, so we wanted to definitely get back on here and give you guys some thoughts on what's going on in sports and things that we've seen. So we're actually going to start off on more of a serious note here, and we're going to swing it over to Dre, and he's going to talk a little bit about what's been going on with police brutality in this nation. We know young man George Floyd was lost a few days ago due to police brutality, and officer basically having his knee on his neck while he's on the ground and causing him to die. So we just want to speak a moment about that, and like I said, Dre's going to take it over from here. Go ahead, Dre.
Hey, what's up, everybody? So, as Mike mentioned a couple of days ago, the world learned about a situation that took place in the state of Minnesota where an officer had his knee on the neck of a man by the name of George Floyd. I was brought to the attention of it by, I think Steven Jackson had posted about his friend passing away, because I hadn't heard about it in the news, and I saw how upset he was, and then I saw his hashtag at the end referring to the police. And so that kind of, caught my attention. You look in the news and see what's going on. And because of the public outcry, because we learned about it just a few days ago, but it actually took place before, everybody had, got a hold of it. And so I guess what frustrates me is that, the Bible declares in, I think it's Micah, where God talks about, what do I require of you? And the first thing he says, to do justly. And it essentially means to treat everybody in a just manner. And so it's frustrating to see the police, treat Black and brown bodies the way they have over the last, I can't even put a number on the years because it's been going on for such a long time. And I guess the thing I just wanted to kind of touch on is, since this is a Christian show, I just want to see us as a body of believers to really engage this situation. And even going forward, we've seen in the past where the church has been, at the forefront in some civil rights movements and things of that nature. But we are called to, be social change as well as spiritual change. So I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we fulfill the role of the church, not just in the church, but also in these streets, and making sure that we, take care of our brothers and sisters out here. So, it's frustrating, it's sad what happened. We definitely want to keep Floyd's family in our prayers, and hopefully, this thing will turn around, because racism is still alive. It's just only getting exposed even more. And like Will Smith said, they got films on it. So let's keep them in prayer, the family of George Floyd.
I definitely appreciate that. And we're definitely going to keep those that family in our prayers, as well as the family of Ahmaud Arbery, and I think Breonna, is it Taylor?
Yeah.
The young lady that was
Breonna
shot
Taylor,
in Louisville by the
Yeah.
police kicking in her door. So we definitely want to pray for our country, pray for all those situations going on. Know that they're also even rioting right now in Minneapolis where that happened. So definitely want to keep those families and those cities in our prayers. All right. And then it's kind of hard to turn from a somber note to what we're going to be talking about today, and it's going to be what we're going to be talking about for the majority of our show. But we're going to talk about the documentary, The Last Dance. It's been greatly anticipated. As you can see behind me, I got my Jordan, my Cement 3 Jordans back here. I got my Scottie Pippen, my Nike Air Max Up Tempo 95s on here, just to show that I'm repping.
I see you. I see y'all. I see y'all over there.
Y'all looking good. And we just wanted, like I said, we're gonna delve into the doc and get our different thoughts on the different things we saw in the doc, things that may have changed that we thought before may have changed since we watched the doc. So at first, I just want to get everybody's overall thoughts on the Last Dance documentary. Actually, I'm going to start with Darian. So go ahead and start us off, Darian.
Going into, I was kind of excited about it because being born in the 90s, you know what I mean, only thing I can really go off of is word of mouth with Jordan, you know, his fans and his, you know, the high believers are saying he's the greatest basketball player of all time. So watching it gave me a perspective of like, this dude is really good.
We were just talking.
He's really good.
Youngster.
right?
And what I was texting Dre about this. What I think I placed Jordan 1 going into it, and this is why. Mentally, like the mental mindset of that dude was unbelievable. Like any little thing would make that dude like go off. You know what I mean? He didn't chew the flavor of bubble gum I chew, so I knew then I was gonna take his life. It was crazy. So when I seen him, I was like, man, this dude he's a different level. He's a different level beast. He was special, man. So the doc was just awesome for me.
Great. Yolanda, get your overall thoughts on the documentary.
Well, you know, I enjoyed it because it just brought back memories of living through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was glad that the younger people who didn't really get to watch him play while he was playing, see that mentality was just something out of this world. And that in his work ethic, and the way he made the teammates, you know, play up to what he knew they could do. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And my kids, they follow a lot of stuff. They like you and Dre, Mike. They be knowing stuff. I'm like, well, how you know that? Oh, mama. So yeah, it was good.
All right. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to go to Dave. He has some different thoughts on who the greatest is, so I'm going to swing it over to Dave next.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna get into that debate about who the greatest is. I'm gonna leave that for people who like to share their opinions and thoughts on that kind of stuff. But to say I was excited for the doc, that's like an understatement. Real talk. Like I had everything recorded. Like it came on 8:00 here in KC. That's usually the time we put Millie down. I was trying to figure out ways I could get her before or doing commercial breaks and stuff. Like I was tuned in every Sunday, ready to watch that thing. I was glad ESPN decided to push it forward, especially with everything that's going on. That was like I want to say a lifesaver, but that was just like a huge relief on my part. And like I don't know, that the first song they played on there, I think was "I Ain't No Joke" by Eric B. and Rakim. That's that's the epitome of Jordan. Like he was no joke. Like that dude was a killer. As Darian kind of alluded to and Yo said, like my man was just out of this world. Like his mindset, the things he made up to get him motivated, the things he did, like. And then what I really like as a basketball player is just seeing him in them early years. Like he played both ends of the court hard.
Mhm.
Like he was going, they was pressing full court. He was getting steals off the passes and stuff and he was killing. And then his jump shot, his dunks, like everything was just crazy for me. So I just enjoyed the whole thing. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Dre.
Man, listen. I've waited so long. Ever since we saw that trailer back in like 2018, I've been waiting with bated breath for them to show this documentary, man. And then, like Dave said, I'm happy that they pushed it up, due to everything that was going on. But, like Dave said, it's an understatement as far as my anticipation for what they showed. And it was everything and more for me, just because, we grew up in the Jordan era, and I got kids, so they always talk about they want Jordans. So what I did was I made them sit down and watch a couple of the episodes so they can understand what they're wearing and why they're wearing it, and why his name is even as popular as it is. They had a newfound appreciation for Jordan and his greatness. But I mean, I think I loved everything about it. I know some people may say it might have been a slanted view, but I just loved how they went in detail. Only thing I would say that I wish they kind of separated the Bulls, like that '98 team, and did a documentary for them, and then maybe have one that's just solely focused on Jordan. I like how they intermingled the stories, but it would have been cool if they would have did, because just to pay respect to everybody that was an important part on the Bulls team. But it was dope. It was dope.
Awesome. Well, my thoughts on it, like, it was a great doc. I enjoyed it. Just like everybody said, I couldn't wait when I saw the trailer. I was excited about it. I love how they, I just love seeing the background of stories, like the things that we don't get to see all the time. I like to see those things, and I was amazed at how many times, like, the opposing team, like, and Michael Jordan, like, shook hands, like, right after the game, like. And I was like, they do that or whatever? Like, they meet after, like, the media and all that other stuff. They already got their clothes on, and they shaking up after the game. And I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. It's like, good game, good game. I was like, on the court, but you wouldn't expect to see it, like, after the game. So I thought that was really cool. Only thing that I wish that they would have went deeper on, or maybe had a segment on, is like the full court defense from the second three-peat, where it would be Michael and Scottie, like, pressing full court on cats, and they couldn't get the ball off the floor. I wish they could have went deeper into that. I would have seen that. Because I was listening to Bill Simmons, and he said he was watching, I guess, the game against the Magic, that 95-96 when they played them in the playoffs, and he's like, Penny Hardaway, and we love Penny, and we know he got handled, but he's like, Penny Hardaway couldn't even get the ball up the court against those guys. So yeah, it was an awesome doc, and like I said, we got a lot of topics here we're gonna dive into. So we're gonna talk about the craziest member of the second three-peat here. Talk about Dennis Rodman and his antics. So
he was himself.
We're gonna go with Dre. And what's your thoughts on Dennis Rodman and how he was portrayed in the documentary?
He was portrayed like I saw him when I was a kid. Like, it's crazy.
No,
his story is so unique, man. But one thing I respect about Dennis Rodman is the freedom that he lives with. Like, he's free to be himself. He don't care who, says what about him. He is free to be himself, and I really respect that. I think one shocking thing that stood out to me about this, I never knew about the Vegas thing in the middle of the season like that. How do you go to Vegas and you get, the head coach is like, cool, go ahead, do your thing. And I will say this, I respect Phil Jackson even more with how he handled Dennis Rodman, because coaches, they feel like you got to handle everybody the same way. But it's certain characters that you just got to let them be who they are. And they bring certain intangibles to the team that, no one else can. And so, for Phil Jackson to let Rodman be who he is, and Rodman, even, I didn't realize how popular he was. Like, I knew he was popular, but I didn't realize he was that popular in terms of popular culture. You know what I'm saying? So I knew he dated Madonna, but I didn't realize he was as big as he was. So shout out to Dennis Rodman. That boy is a savage.
To the 10th power.
Yes, he is.
That's no lie there.
Yes. All right, Dave, go ahead, bro.
I mean, just to kind of piggyback on what Dre said, like the craziest thing about Rodman is everything that he was doing back then. You know, people were looking at it like, oh, this dude is just off the wall, or this dude is like just it's weirdo. But I'm like, right now it's normal. Like you see people walking around with colorful hair all day.
Man,
People walking around with cut off clothes and wearing clothes that might not be for your particular gender and all that stuff. But he still brought it every day. Like he still came in and hooped. Like, and I like that story when he came back from his Vegas thing and they had to run the laps. And Jordan was like telling the rest of the team, "All right, we're gonna jog to kind of give him a chance." When they was doing the Indian drill, and he said he took off, and they took him 4 laps to catch up with him. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. So his mindset, like, and then what Dre said earlier with Phil handling every player individually, like that reminds me of what my mom told us. Like she said when she was raising us growing up, she was like, I couldn't raise all y'all the same because y'all are individual people. And that's the kind of same mindset I've seen what Phil was doing, because he was like, I can't treat Jordan and Pip like I treat Rodman, or I can't treat BJ like I treat Steve Kerr. So like, I think Phil throughout this whole thing, not to, curse, get off of Dennis too much, but Phil, the way he handled Dennis, I think it really helped his development and helped them, make sure they get that second three-peat, because I don't think without Rodman there, you saw what happened in 95 when they didn't have him there, then he got there in 96, so that helped out tremendously. So, yeah, with Dennis that's a wild boy.
Yes. Yo.
Ditto. And then with him and Carmen Electra, he was just Dennis Rodman. He just like he is now is how he was then. He's been the same all the way through. And you have to admire that, because a lot of people try to be something different than what they are, and he was just like, I'm just gonna be me, do me, and this is what you get. So yeah, and I can't appreciate, because he did make a difference with that defense. Because had he not been there, nope, they wouldn't have done it. Because he was a big part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Dennis Rodman, I tell you.
Big Kansas, what's up, man?
Yeah, so I've been a fan of Dennis Rodman since I watched the Bad Boys 30 for 30. And what this Last Dance Doc did for me was make me think like, this is the coolest dude on the Bulls team. You can be like, okay, like I'm about to like go give you 20 boards. Like that's my kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like I get set aside everything else, but I'm gonna do my job. Some of these dudes, they do their thing off the court and they can't do their thing on the court. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they can't manage both. Dennis is like, I'm about to go 48 hours to Vegas, and come back and give you 20 boards. You know what I mean? I thought that was the dopest thing. Watching this doc, I was like, okay, like Dennis might have been the coolest cat on that team, bro.
Awesome. Yeah, I like to take it to the basketball side. I never knew that he actually like studied to be like a great rebounder. Like he said that he would have somebody else shoot, and he would study how the ball came off the rim, or if it's coming off high, or if it's coming off to the side, and this how it was like a science to him, like people feel like rebounding is like not a skill, like is more of all hustle type of thing, but he turned it into like a skill, being able to read and see how shots were going to come off and be able to anticipate, where the ball was going. So I thought that was amazing. And we all love to see the crazy side of Dennis and, him going to Vegas. And,
bad as I would have
taking
been.
the shoes off at the end, right. And
hey,
I
he
can
hopped
remember
on a motorcycle after drinking a beer.
Right.
Like, he just
man, I can remember he was so big. I remember him having his own MTV show on it was called the Rodman World Tour.
Yeah.
And he was like all over and stuff like that. I'm like, he was big then, and just like, seeing the how it was for him, and man, it brought back a lot of memories, man. I was like, I forgot how big this dude was. Man, but Dennis is a character. That's all I gotta say, man. So we saw also in the documentary, we saw the two Jerrys play a major role in how the Bulls team was constructed and also how it was torn down ultimately at the end. So what are your thoughts on Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner, and also Jerry Krause, who basically put the team together? And do you blame one more than the other, or do you feel like it was mainly the players just were done, or was it just because Jerry Krause was saying that it was over? Or do you think Jerry Reinsdorf could have overridden him if all those guys were going to come back? So we'll start with Dave on this one.
For this, I would say, in terms of like blame, I think you have to kind of put some of the blame on Reinsdorf because he allowed Krause to come in beginning of the season and say no matter if you go 82-0, you're not coming back.
Right.
So for him to then at the end say, well, I reached out to, to make sure, like, hey, does everybody want to come back? Or, it was some of these guys weren't even worth the value they were going to get. I'm just like, come on, like, it can't have both. You got to live and die by what you put out there. So I would probably have to say that Jerry's is definitely, if you want to put somebody at fault, they're at fault for the breakup. But then at the same time, you got to give them credit in terms of like the mastermind of how they put the team together, the risks they were willing to take. Like throughout this whole documentary, I was reading the Jordan Rules at the same time, the book by Sam Smith, and you could just see some of the stuff that even like Jordan was recommended that the team do. Had they done that, they wouldn't have been in position to win the championship. So while they get the blame for breaking up the team possibly a year or two too soon, you still got to be like, you got to give them credit for what they did in terms of bringing everybody together. So, because like I said, I mean, we just talked about Rodman. Rodman was a risk. That was a huge risk. So, and he was flaming out over there in San Antonio. So.
All right. Yolanda?
Yes. Yeah, I think the owner did have more pull than the GM. Although the GM, I think maybe he should not have said that, because then you could go back on the back end and say, okay, well, let's see if we can do this one more time. But because he spoke at the end of the previous season, it was just like, well, pretty much, and then the media just kept honing on it, kept asking him. He talking about, if y'all gonna ask me about that, I'm not gonna talk. We won't talk basketball. That's what we're here for. Right. So, but yeah, I think Krause, he kind of, I kind of don't want to say, but I think he had the little man syndrome. It's like, yeah, he did a good job of putting them together and everything, but then he kind of, it's like I kind of feel like they were saying during the documentary, like, well, maybe he wasn't getting all the credit that he deserved. I'm like, dude, you getting credit because you put this team together. So, I think he started thinking too much. Just ride it, man, ride it. But yeah. Man, what could have been? But you never know.
Right.
Exactly.
Darian.
They both play a huge role in the Bulls breaking up in '98. But I think Phil Jackson plays a big part in that too, because if Jerry, the owner, goes to Phil and say, "Hey, come back for 1 year," Phil says no because Phil's probably at this point in his feelings about what Jerry Krause said to him, 82-0, so Phil's, being, taking the high horse and like, you know what, I'm out of here, y'all do what y'all can do with that. I think Jerry Krause does, I wouldn't call it small man complex. Like, I feel like he didn't get his credit. And by watching the doc, some can argue that he didn't. You know what I mean? And how they treated him. You know what I mean? Like, these cats is like belittling this dude. Going at this dude. I'm like, man, like, this dude's the GM, man. He bought you guys here. So I can see a little bit of that. You can, see another grown man, you know, if I attack you personally as another man and you can't say or do anything about it, you know what I mean? Like, I will be in my feelings a little bit too. So I think Phil's a part of that to blame as well, as far as them all breaking up.
Dre?
I think it's a lot of people had a part in it. I would blame more Reinsdorf just because you own the team, so
Right.
you have the say so of what it is that you desire. They already kind of said it. You know, Krause, he had that syndrome of, you know, I need more credit than what I'm getting. But if you think about it, you know, if we look at sports today, like, if you're a winning franchise, especially in basketball, we're pretty much going to know who the general manager is.
Right.
Flyers with Golden State, the Lakers with Pelinka, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
Dave Griffin when he's with the Cavs, like,
You
we know
wouldn't
Pat
get
Riley and his guy was running the Heat. Like, if you're a winning team in the NBA, we don't know who the front office is. So you're going to get the respect that you deserve. I think he wanted a little bit more, and you're not going to get that, especially within an organization where you got arguably the greatest of all time. You got Scottie Pippen, you got Dennis Rodman, you got arguably the greatest coach of all. It's too many personalities.
Right.
And if you think about it, what GM in history in sport, and I'm just really talking about recent history, wanted to be in the limelight like that, or wanted that kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, when Dave Griffin did his thing with the Cavs, he wasn't in the spotlight like that. Only when, you know, trouble was arising. Bob Myers, same thing. Like, they get they love when they deserve it. You know what I'm saying? But the players are the ones who are actually playing on the court. And then as far as the timing of everything, I feel like it ended at the right time. Just because I feel like Scottie Pippen he was in a place already mentally where I think he didn't want to stay in Chicago, especially with all that went on that last year. So I kind of have a hard time seeing him coming back to Chicago.
All right. I also thought too, like, as far as like I remember when they showed when they were trying to when Jordan got hurt and he was coming back, and they was only playing him like 14 minutes a game, like the last game against the Pacers, and they took him out or whatever, and John Paxson ended up hitting that shot in the lane. Like, it kind of caused the strife right there, because, you know, Jordan felt like he should have been, you know, in the game in that last few seconds or whatever. And he felt like Jerry Krause worried about getting that lottery pick instead of trying to make the playoffs. So Michael Jordan's mentality is, I want to make the playoffs every year. You know, I'm not worried about, you know, a lottery pick or whatever. Right. So I think that was pretty much the first thing that, you know, caused that rift between Michael and Jerry Krause anyway. Jerry Reinsdorf, I think he just was, you know, like, he's playing his part right now, you know. I think Jerry Krause is taking the brunt of the criticism all these years. And then, you know, Reinsdorf, you know, I was surprised that he was on there, you know, speaking, but I think he was just trying to kind of clear his name, you know, saying that, you know, I did try to bring y'all back one more time. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Right. So, you know, I everybody, like Dre was saying, I think everybody deserves some part of blame. You know, even Mike, you know, in the whole thing. You know,
for sure.
I feel like if he really wanted to come back, he could have went over, you know, Jerry Krause's head.
He could have.
Like Jordan, like, you know, he's the most powerful man in sports, essentially, and you know, he could have did whatever.
1 year, $35 million contract.
Right. He kept Isaiah off the Olympic.
That's crazy.
In 98,
he
like,
could have went over his head.
Yeah, he had to pull if he really wanted to.
That's still hearsay though.
Yeah, it is. All right, so we're gonna move to the Robin of the crew here, Scottie Pippen. Recently, Scottie was saying that that he wasn't portrayed in a great light on the show or on the documentary. But I just want to hear your thoughts on, you know, what type of player you thought Scottie was, and then also, how you look at him, after seeing the documentary. Do you feel like he was as good as people say he was? Do you feel like he was overrated or underrated? Or also, do you feel like he was portrayed in a decent light in this documentary? So I'm gonna start with Dre this time.
So, listen, Scottie Pippen is an amazing player. He's an all-time great, and I will not argue that. But I feel like he fell in the right situation when he got to Chicago because he had something to shoot for. There was somebody there that already kind of laid the template for him, and he just needed to come up to the level that he was, his maximum capability to be able to, do what he did. And he did an awesome job. To me, he's the best number two, sidekick in a dynamic duo of all time. You know what I'm saying? In terms of how he was portrayed in this, I think Scottie is a little bit in his feelings just because I heard multiple times in this documentary where they kept calling him the number 2 player in the NBA. Like they said, I heard that multiple times. Secondly, the stuff that they documented is stuff that we already knew about. Like this ain't nothing new. The only thing that kind of got amplified was his contract situation. But guess what? You signed the contract, Scottie. You were the one who wanted a long-term deal because you wanted that security, which we respect. But you cannot blame anybody else for the contract that you agreed to. You can't do that. So for him to come out and say, I don't like the way I was portrayed, bruh, you a sidekick. You are Robin. Michael Jordan, that man. It was about him and the Chicago Bulls. You are just a part in the play. You have to respect the man, and you have to know your role. Ain't that what the Rockies would say? Know your role.
Know your role. And shut your mouth.
I think Scottie
Shut your mouth.
He's been on Twitter too much. Get off Twitter. Twitter fingers, they get you a little amped up. Don't worry about that, Scottie.
All right. Dave, go ahead, bro.
I mean, Dre said it probably best as any one of us can. I mean, you can't really complain. I'll start on the portrayal part. You can't really complain how you was portrayed when in the doc you said you would do exactly do the same thing or some of the things that was called into question. I'm like, bro, like you wouldn't go in at the end of the game because you didn't play what drawn up for you. Like you said you would do it again.
Thank you.
I really have a hard time of understanding where he's coming from when he said he didn't like how he was portrayed. Because, like I said, most of that stuff was already known. Like the family stuff that was not known, but that explains why he wanted the security because of his background. But then even if you look at some of the things, like he went into college just to he wanted to hang out with the athletes. Like his mindset was never, let me go and get it. And I think he said at the end of the doc, he said like, I'm great because there was a lot of great people around me. And so like, that goes to show the difference in mindset between him and MJ. MJ was like, I wouldn't get the endorsements if I wasn't playing to the level. Like I know where I come from. So like he can't really complain about that stuff. Now, he definitely was not, in my opinion, definitely was not the second best player in the NBA at the time when this stuff was being made.
He wasn't.
But I mean, like they said, he put the clamps on Magic during the finals. Like you can't argue that stuff. That's facts. So like, were you underpaid? Yes, you were underpaid. But
way underpaid.
We make like every decision has a consequence. So you got to kind of live with that kind of stuff. So I mean, I think, in my opinion, the director did a good job of making sure that anything that was brought into question, whether his migraine with the Detroit Pistons or even his back pain with the Utah Jazz, like he gave Scottie the last say or the last word in all those instances that we saw to say, okay, even this is what was portrayed. What is your point of view of that? So you got to finish it and write your story the way you wanted to write it. You said what you said on camera. So you got to live with the consequences, in my opinion.
All right. That's the truth. That's the truth. Darian or Yolanda, did you have anything to add to that?
Now, other than the owner told him not to sign that contract, and he signed it anyway.
I got something to say.
Okay, D.
So going into this deal, I was super excited to see what Scottie really brought to the table. And to call him a Robin is kind of an insult. He was more like a Catwoman. So
what?
Oh,
What? Whoa!
He was
A Catwoman.
He was a good player, all that, but he was too soft for me. He got the migraine. He got the sitting out. First of all, dude, if you admit on national television that you'll pull that again, bro, you lost your card with me. If you would have kept that to yourself and said, you know what, I probably look back on it and I probably wouldn't do that again. You know what I mean? Well, you got Jordan sitting in the huddle drawing up plays for other teammates. You know what I mean? You sitting here pouting because he drew up a play for Tony, who hit the shot, and you still sitting there pouting? Bro, you're not Robin, bro. You're Catwoman to me, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
Hey, hold on, you can't call the man a Catwoman. Like that's disrespectful.
Right.
Like, come on. Like, I know we on the Zoom, and I know it's kind of hard to jump in and stuff, but bro, that's kind of like that's sideways right there, dude. Like you can't call a man Catwoman. He's one of the 50 greatest players in the NBA. You calling him a Catwoman? Like,
if anybody was Robin,
a great player. He's lost that title a long time ago.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about he wasn't a great player.
I would agree, Jay. I would agree.
I'm not talking that he's not a great player. But if anybody was Robin on that team, it was Jordan. Jordan played Batman and Robin. and then Scottie played Catwoman.
You minimize Scottie.
Now you disrespecting Scottie right now. You disrespecting Scottie
Scottie Pippen. It was like he's the one who I don't want to say he invented, but the point forward role. Like this dude was initiating the offense, picking up the best player of the team. You know what I'm saying? He was legit, man.
Okay, let him be y'all teammate and y'all playing hoop. And
give me Scottie.
Right. And then he quits on you. He quits on you the last session. Let's see if you his boy afterwards.
Wow. I like that.
You called him Catwoman, bro. Like you called him that's crazy.
Right. You cannot call a man a woman.
I ain't never like if he sees this, bro, he coming after you.
Right.
He might have a migraine, bro. He might not make it to
man.
Or his back might go out.
You got Skip Bayless over here.
Or
he's scared, dude.
Or he might not have enough because his contract is too low. You know what I mean? I don't know.
All right. Well, one of the other teammates of Michael Jordan that we saw kind of open up about his background and his story coming up was Steve Kerr. So I'm just gonna throw it out there. What were your thoughts on seeing Steve Kerr's story and what you thought about it?
Who do you say?
You can go ahead, yo.
Oh, I can respect Steve Kerr because he didn't back down to him. You know, how he was saying how, you know, when he bucked up to him, then he, you know, MJ, he kind of appreciated. He's like, okay, so he ain't no little punk, basically.
Right.
So I can appreciate about Steve Kerr. And then when then he lost his dad. Was it his dad?
Yes.
Yeah. So that really, you know, it's just something when you lose somebody. But anyway, yeah. Okay, next person.
I respect how him and Jordan didn't share their story. Like they didn't come together to share like the loss of their dads. Like they respect each other, but they had that mutual connection about losing their fathers, and like, I mean, ultimately made them play better together. To me, like how Kerr was sharing that story. And I love how Jordan was like, "Hey, we gonna get the ball to Kerr," and Kerr was like, "I'm ready. I can do it." Mike was just cool about it, like, "Okay, bro, I got you. Like, I'll be ready." Like, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't want to let him down. Like, that's dope. That was super dope to me.
Dave?
I think one thing that stuck out for me I never really liked Steve Kerr because like y'all saw that Golden State stuff he had on during the
Hater, boy.
But you respect him as a player now.
just as a no, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, I like just his mindset. I know one of the things that he mentioned, he knew his role. He said, as a role player, I get 3 to 5 shots a game. And he had talked about, I want to say it was the 97 playoffs, where he was like, he was just having a horrible playoff series. And he knew, like, hey, I need to, step it up here. And once he got his opportunity to hit that shot, he stepped up to the plate. So, like, for him to be the coach in the position he is now with the players he got now, and then just understand, like, he can relate to both sides. Like, he can relate to seeing how a superstar does it, and then he can relate to, like, the last man on the bench who might be getting 3 to 5 shots a game, and, like, just his mindset. Like, I got a lot more respect for him after seeing, like, his story, his grind, not having any scholarship offers coming out of high school, and then all of a sudden Arizona just offering him at the last minute.
Right.
Which, that's just crazy to me. But he won his butt off, so you got to respect somebody for like that.
Yeah. Well, Drake.
Yeah, I think Steve Kerr's story is probably one that I didn't realize I didn't know about. Some of his backstory, especially with his father. I respect Steve Kerr, coach of the Warriors, played with the Bulls, played with the Spurs. You just see him as a basketball player. But you don't necessarily look at that background for people that you don't necessarily pay attention to. But I respect them, even more just by learning that, and then to Darion's point about how him and MJ had that similarity about their fathers, and them not necessarily speaking about it. But,
right.
If them being able to go through what they went through in terms of losing their fathers. I'm sure it was extremely tough, especially with Kerr at the young age and then Jordan at the height of basketball powers.
Right.
Like, I could only imagine. So I just thought that was, pretty special and significant in the documentary.
Right. I was going through, and I liked how they told Steve Kerr's backstory about his father and the type of person he was, and him trying to do the right thing as far as being the president at the American University of Beirut. And it's crazy because he still went over there, even after learning, that the previous president had been kidnapped and hadn't been seen in 3 weeks or 3 months, something like that. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was. I didn't know the depth of the story, so that was awesome to learn. Also, just Steve Kerr, you look at him, you're like, man, how this dude, make it to the league, just for seeing him, but you could see that he really had the grind, he really had the tough mentality to be able to pursue, until he got what he was searching for or longing for. So. Much props to Steve Kerr. And actually, I wanted to throw another topic out here. What did y'all think about the music in the documentary?
I enjoyed the music. The music was on point.
No. Well, I think I think the music in the beginning was hard. And I think as it got towards the end, when that Kitty Lattimore stuff came in the picture, I think it kind of just tailed down. Because, MJ ain't MJ ain't rocking with rap music. If you know what I mean.
I thought the music was fire, man.
Yeah, you gotta respect Kenny, bro. Kenny had Jordan rocking like, yeah. This is
oh nah.
Like, this is the new Kenny Lattimore.
New Kenny Lattimore, it ain't even out yet.
Yeah, that's my friend. That's my friend.
This ain't even out yet.
That new stuff.
I loved like the intro, the been around the world with Diddy. The been around when that intro came in. Well, I got chills. They showing the highlights.
That champagne.
Like, here we go.
Man,
Yes.
when they played Bad by LL Cool J, when
I'm
he was
bad. Ooh.
oh my
In the
goodness.
garden.
Yes.
Oh, that was it.
Hey, then when they played that Outcast, when they played down in Atlanta, I was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah. Got that Rosa Parks going. Yeah.
Yeah. And when they played If I Ruled the World with Nas and Lauryn Hill,
Oh,
they
yeah.
went to start for the All-Star game. That was
Yes.
dope too.
Yes.
Oh, let's talk about that too. That you brought that up, Dre. Anybody want to comment on the Kobe section that we saw?
That
was
just
in the
tugged at
documentary?
my heart.
That was tough just because, obviously we wasn't around, we were around, but we just weren't filming when, Kobe had passed. But just seeing him on the film, on the footage, it just really took me back to that time because me and my brother, like we were some hoop heads and like we would follow everything about basketball, and Kobe was at the top of the list, you know what I'm saying? And so for him to be as popular as he was, I always tell people, like, I think that was probably his apex as far as popularity, before he passed away. Because in 1998, dude wasn't even starting, and he started in the
Still
All-Star game.
Right.
It don't even make sense. That's how popular he was. And so just seeing them pay homage to Kobe, I thought that was pretty dope.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Right.
It was awesome to see. You know what I mean? Especially, pretty much. I don't know if it was the last the last aired interview with Kobe Bryant. Watching him on the Last Dance doc speak so highly about Jordan, and you think of these two dudes as like the ultimate competitors, which they are, and like, they probably would never share advice with each other. And then here you got Jordan sharing advice with like one of the most patented shots, the back fadeaway, and he told me how to read it. He told me how to do about this, and I'm like, man, this is just like next level stuff. You know what I mean? It was so dope, man.
Yeah. I like when he said there would be no me if he hadn't given me the advice that he gave me.
Yeah.
I was just like, now that's what 'cause people don't be
Thank you.
knowing how close some of these players are off the court until, like we would have never known how close they were. I mean, I knew they had a relationship, but I just didn't know how close they were until he passed away. But I was just like, that's mad respect.
It is.
Yes. Yeah, that little Laker boy.
Because one thing that that Laker boy. But one thing I like to say is like Kobe was like he tries to squash that whole like when y'all try to compare him versus Jordan, and I think like to me that should be the mindset going like when we try to do these cross generation comparisons.
Right.
Like I think it just doesn't make sense. Like
it does.
I mean, obviously any player coming up now has looked at Kobe, looked at LeBron, or how they molded their games to to try to emulate some of the stuff that they did. So like Kobe, like when he sat down, he was like kill that noise. Basically, like there is no Kobe without MJ.
Right.
So like I think that's kind of like that's at least my mindset. I'm like, yo, like you disrespecting them by trying to always compare. Like let each and every one of them be great in their own individual way.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I like all the commentary on this subject right there. I just thought it was funny, at the All-Star game, how he just talking about how that little Laker boy just gonna take it one-on-one every time down the floor. I'm like, bruh, you playing just like you played when you came in the league, dog. You trying to take everybody one-on-one. You just describing yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Talking about he wasn't passing the ball. That's your fault.
You wasn't passing the ball, right? Yeah.
Hey, and Grant Hill wasn't trying to build that poster.
See?
Right. Exactly. Man. I just thought that was a great segment that they put that piece in there about MJ and Kobe and their relationship. All right, so we're gonna get to the star of the show here, and I just want y'all to be open. We're gonna whatever you want to take, wherever you want to take it. Just give your thoughts on Michael Jordan, good, bad, indifferent, whatever you feeling, and what your takeaways were in regards to the proclaimed GOAT, Michael Jordan. So we're gonna start with Yo. You go ahead.
Okay, so my first comment I want to say, I know this is about more of a, what they talking about, he was the best in the college. No.
Mhm.
Right.
But anyway, okay, so my thing was, I've been a Jordan fan, even though I was a Carolina fan before Jordan got to Carolina, because I was a Dean Smith fan.
Tell him, yo. Tell him, yo.
So, I really appreciate him because, like I said, his mindset, the killer instinct, and even watching his dad talk about him, talking about all you got to do is tell him he can't do something, and he's just going to excel at it. Yeah. And I really appreciate that because I can appreciate how people now are, taking that into their game, and of course he is probably the greatest of his era, and I would give him the GOAT, but anyway, like I like to say of era because everybody plays different in different areas, but he did change the way, the game was played. Because in his athleticism, even Magic Johnson and Larry Bird was saying back then, this dude is something else. Right. So I can appreciate that. And the only thing I want him to do is when he said what he said about the Isaiah Thomas stuff, because people want to rehash that up again. We knew he said it then, but I would just own it and be like, yeah, I said it and what? What you gonna do?
Right.
So yeah, after Magic and Bird brought the game back into, he just took it to a whole nother level. He the reason why come the shorts got longer.
Right. That's right.
So that's my little piece right now. I'll probably jump in later on.
Okay. All right, Darian.
The era of Michael Jordan was just so mesmerizing to me. Like watching the fans, watching how people loved him. Like I thought, like today's game, or even in the early 2000s, like watching the game was like, man, people really love Kobe. People really love Shaq. No, people really loved Michael Jordan.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like waiting in hotel lobbies. Mm-hmm. Like he was like a Beatle in basketball shoes. You know what I mean? He was a for real rock star. It was so enlightening to me. I don't have too many like man. I had a lot of wow moments, but I am going to point this out to Mike that threw me off a little bit. Like Yo said, own it, bro. You was dry snitching on your teammates back in the 80s. You was calling Scottie selfish. Just say, yeah, I didn't like Isaiah Thomas. He wasn't my guy. I told him to keep him off the team. If he was, I would have been like, Mike, come on, bro. Talk to him nice. Talk to him nice, Mike. But because he didn't say that, it kind of threw me off a little bit. Like, why you gotta lie about it, bro? Just say, I had no part. I had no part. I didn't say nothing. Isaiah's the second best point guard of all time. But then a recording come out saying that you didn't want him on the team. That's my only beef with Mike right now. But besides that, it was super dope. Dre, you can shake your head all day, but call a spade, bro.
I'm next.
All right, go ahead, Dre.
First of all, let me just address this Isaiah Thomas thing before I get to MJ. Okay. I heard the recording that everybody was talking about, and he didn't say, I don't want him on the team. He said I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play. It's the same thing when LeBron said, oh, I don't want Lonzo Ball. I don't want Jason Hart. I don't want Brandon Ingram on my team. I want Anthony Davis on my team. This ain't nothing new. This ain't no new evidence. Basketball players want to play they want to play with who they want to play with. All about chemistry. It's all about chemistry. And Jordan is not the only person. He didn't pull all the strings. Now, I'm sure that him saying that because he was the biggest, card in the deck. Sure. I'm saying that had a lot of weight, but it wasn't the only thing that moved the needle. It was other people. You know what I'm saying? But that's, I'm going to sit Isaiah Thomas to the side.
Wait. Before you go on, Dre, let me say this real quick. Larry, my husband was like, well, why come his coach didn't stand up for him?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Anyway, let me just address a little dry stitching comment too. Because first of all, this was like 1984. He didn't drop no names. All he said was this was going on in the room. So what? How is that dry snitch?
We knew that.
Like,
Everybody in the NBA was doing it at that time.
exactly. But anyway, I'm done with that. Now,
You're done.
to get to the GOAT, okay? Now, yes, Jordan is the GOAT. I'm going to say it till, forever. I'm going to always call him the GOAT. This documentary to me amplified, why I feel the way I feel about Michael Jordan, because I just look at how much he had to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously this is pre-social media, but this dude was so pop. I mean, he probably was at one time the most famous person on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody just recognizes who you are. And for him to carry around that weight for a couple of years, like, I didn't realize it at the time, but when he had retired, we're upset because we want to keep seeing Michael Jordan play basketball, but I didn't realize, all that went into being the number one guy and on the number one team, and just being number one across the board. Like, that takes a toll on you. And for him to have that mental drain that he had dealt with, all the way up until 1993 is just like, and then for him to come back and do another 3P, that to me, that just like, it sets you apart because some people might go to 8 finals in a row. It don't matter. You're not getting no rings. I got Michael Jordan got 6 of them things.
Here we go.
You know what I'm saying? Every time he win, he won the title.
Here we go.
I'm not I'm just saying that to me is what separates him from the pack.
He only played 6 years in the league. Did he only play 6 years in the league?
No, he didn't.
Okay, I'm just asking.
But he went to the playoffs them first 3 years.
He went to the playoffs every year he's been in the league, though.
No response, though. I just asked, did he play only 6 years? Because he won 6 championships.
All right, let's keep it let's keep it on mic right now. I know. All right, Dave, you up, man?
Thank you, Mike. All right, so this is what I have to say. All right. All these little side shots coming from Pastor Dre and all this stuff. I'm going to keep it on Mike. One thing that stuck out to me about Mike, and it just talks to, like, just a crazy competitor he is the fact that he got emotional talking about how competitive he was and how, he, like, that, what quote-unquote meanness drove, that his teammates to not like him and stuff. But he was like, I never asked you to do anything that I would not do myself. Like that, for you to get emotional just talking about that, 30-some odd years later, like that was right there. I'm like, dude, that dude is he's just wired differently than a lot of people. And a lot of people can't understand. I mean, you skipped the White House visit to go, like, golfing and basically compete more. Like, that's just, like, that's a GOAT category right there. Like, you're a GOAT for doing that. Like, so, I mean, I think, like, MJ, and then one thing I really liked about the doc, like, so many times in the African-American community, we're not, like, our fathers are not depicted. It's always shown, your mother's son, mother, daughter. But you can tell, like, he rolled with his dad. His dad was his homeboy. You can tell the evolution of, like, his dad drove him, pushed him as he was younger, and then as he got older, became more of a friend of a, a mentor and type. So, like, that, to me, I was like, that's dope. Like, looking at that, I'm like, yo, 'cause that's how, my dad's relationship that I have with my dad, and I'm like, yo, that's cool. Like, I really appreciate that. But then, like, the Slim, what's my name? Slim
Bowler.
Like that. I mean, it's just, to me, it shows. Slim Boo. Yeah, to me, it just shows. It just shows, like, we always look at these dudes and put them on a pedestal, but they just like us, man. Like, we got good, strong points, we got weak points, and, like, it's we can't really be putting people on pedestals like that. But it's just overall, to me, like I said, the doc was just dope. Like, I love it.
Dude, let me say one thing though, that because Dave touched on it a little bit, but like one scene in the documentary is when I think Darian brought it up too, was when he was listening to Kenny Lattimore. To me, that just speaks to that speaks to the kind of crazy that Michael Jordan is. You're listening to R&B music before you're about to go play basketball.
He listened
Now,
to
if
Joe
you
too. Did
talk
y'all hear
to any
Joe?
dude
The
that's
finals
about
game.
to play
In the
any
finals.
sport, they trying to get as hype as possible. This dude is listening to some R&B music.
Did you hear the
That's
Joe
incredible,
song?
man.
His psyche, bro. His psyche was crazy, bro.
It
Jordan
is,
was crazy.
man.
He was when they
Crazy.
asked him
Mhm.
when they asked him what motivated
Hey,
Georgia
man.
Karl Malone, he was like, "Oh, he won MVP. He deserved it, but I was
Right,
coming
but
for him." I was like,
right.
Hey, Mike
Exactly.
said every time they said
Or he said
something,
the same
every
thing
time they
about when
said
Chuck
something,
got his MVP.
Yep, he did.
he's like, I took it personal. I took
I
it personal.
took it personal.
That's what I took it personal. That's
Yeah,
what
took it
Mike said
personal.
all the time. I took it personal. I'm like, bro, you take everything personal, bro.
Right. That was his. That's how he
Look, you remember
motivated.
when Bow
Exactly.
Wow said he wore some Iversons to Jordan's house and he threw
And he
the
made
shoes in
him
his
take
trash?
You know?
You know, me coming over here with them shoes on.
Man. Oh,
Hey,
man.
but did y'all notice, like, in those final series, like, the players he was playing against was wearing his shoes? Like, how crazy is that? Like,
Right.
I'm looking down, you got my 10s on, or you got my 11s on. Like, I was like, dude, that is just, like that's wild. Like,
Crazy.
I had a
Crazy,
friend
man.
on Facebook ask the question, how is it that these shoes are still selling the way they are? And there are no commercials or anything,
No
but
commercials.
this stuff is still I say because
Man,
the
that's
brand
crazy.
is exceptional.
it's an emblem. It's an emblem where somebody's sticking their hand down, spreading their
Right.
legs. That's how they selling.
Yeah.
Still getting my money. I can tell you that right now.
"Oh, for sure."
Got some on the way
Oh,
too.
man.
Right.
My kids and my husband.
Hey,
I'm on Perry in the bell right now.
hey,
Man.
hey.
Yeah, buddy.
I was happy for mine for my birthday.
Yes, sir. There we go. There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, and even to that point, like the whole shoe thing, I just liked like I've seen the documentaries about the Jordans and everything, and just talk about like how they was talking to Nas, and he said like his shoes was like lightsabers, you know what I'm saying, from Star Wars. You know, like if you had it, you feel like you could do anything.
Do
If I got
anything.
these shoes, I could definitely be like Mike. And just how like when he went there or whatever,
And
like he didn't want to
also
go.
said they evolved with the time.
Right.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when they went to the that initial meeting or whatever, and he's like he wanted to be with Adidas or whatever.
Adidas.
Like,
His mom talking about,
you
nope,
go,
you need to go.
no, you go to not you go into this meeting or whatever. So he
Hey,
ended up
Mama
signing with
George.
him, man.
Thank
Hey,
you,
Right.
Mama George.
Thank you.
I thank Mike so much that he didn't go to Adidas because I
They
don't know if
make
I could be wearing
Adidas.
Adidas. Nothing against Adidas, but I don't know if I could be rocking. I am not an
Man.
Adidas fan. I can tell you that right now.
Mm-mm.
Man,
Ah, that's the
man,
news.
that was man. Like he, and like you know, what I'm
Loris,
saying,
you a
he got
lifesaver
like
right there.
how he started the whole sneaker culture, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like how they came in different colors and different things like that. So I thought that was really amazing. But just like my whole takeaway, you know, I mean, me personally, I think Mike's the best or whatever. But what I took away from it is that Mike is super petty, man. Mike let anything.
Hey,
Get
He
to
do not
him.
let nothing slide. You know what I'm saying? Everything
And
gets to
hold
him.
hey,
Dude, George Carl didn't say hi to me
hey, what was
when
the
I'm in
dude
the
from the
restaurant
Washington
with him.
Bullets?
I'm giving them
The
50.
Bradford Smith.
Bradford.
The Bradford Smith.
Nice game, Mike.
Hey, completely made up. Like, completely made up.
Oh,
Mike was
man.
petty, boy.
That's some next level
He'll
petty
do
stuff right
anything to
there, boy.
motivate himself, dog. He'll make up anything to motivate
Dude.
himself. Oh man,
The funniest
Carl won
thing, though,
MVP.
when
Charles won
Randy Brown was
MVP.
looking for that ticket, and he was like,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I need to sit next to God. Or
he
something.
got-
He said, take that out the dog. Take that out the dog.
he was tripping, man. He was tripping.
Oh man,
Oh boy.
man. All right. Well, we're gonna have anybody have any other final thoughts on the doc at all?
It was
Oh
awesome.
man.
I can't wait till episodes 11 and 12 about the Wizards and the
Oh boy.
Jordan with the Wizards. Yeah. I like I said, I really enjoyed the doc as well. I wish it didn't have to end. Like I said, I wish they could have delved deeper into
Kept
some
going.
other
Right.
topics and subjects. But I know, like, you know, you can only do so much, you know. But it was a great 10-week run and something that I was happy to look forward to every Sunday and watch. Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
But you know what I'm thinking too? I wonder what would his brother been like, because his dad said his brother was the better athlete.
Yeah, he's just like I think he was like 5'8" and stuff. But he was super athlete because he was doing. Yeah, he was doing reverse dunks and all kind of stuff I seen on highlights. Yeah, he was nice.
So I'm like, Lord, what if he would have grown some more inches?
Yeah. All right. Well, since we wrapped up that MJ doc, we're gonna have one last topic here since we didn't get to talk about our own Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, the last champion.
Well, I volunteer to go first on this topic.
We are Super Bowl champions, Chiefs. You know, and we're gonna start with Darion because I wanted to get his prospects. You know, just kind of wrapping up last season and then also his prospects on the upcoming season. So go ahead, D.
Well, it's been a long time coming, fellas. It's been a long time coming. Oh my God! I know I've taken some beats from Dre Burns for many years. From my boys, you know, but we finally got to that mountaintop, you know, and it felt so good, you know what I mean, to see my boys. But no, I think I was super happy for Andy Reid finally getting to the mountaintop and finally getting that. Well, nobody can say now, well, he doesn't have a ring. You know, he never won the big game. Well, guess what? He finally won the big game is because he has the best quarterback in the NFL and Patty Mahomes.
Oh, my gosh.
And how spectacular this dude played in the playoffs is outrageous. You know, but there's nothing really else to say. But hashtag let's run it back because I don't think nobody beat the Chiefs right now. I know y'all got a whole season to talk about, well, they did this last year and blah, 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 blah. We got the best quarterback and the best offense in the National Football League. And we got a DN who I know Dre was talking about, oh, we paid him too much money, but was the best defensive player in the playoffs.
Oh, my goodness.
Dre, you want to respond?
No, I don't want to respond. First of all, congratulations to Kansas City. We didn't get to say that. Congratulations to Kansas City Chiefs. I caught a lot of flack, believe it or not, because I'm from Kansas City. My team wasn't in it, and I was rooting for the Chiefs to beat the 49ers. I caught a lot of flack for actually rooting for my hometown team in the Super Bowl.
No way!
Yeah, they're like, ain't you a Steelers fan? Yes, I'm a Steelers fan, but I'm a ride with the hometown. That's the only team that's in it. But yeah, relations to the Chiefs. I know what winning feels like. I for Pittsburgh, they won, but
not to be nice. 2
Super Bowls since I've been alive. Carolina has won 3 titles. Yeah, the Yankees have won multiple. So I know what winning feels like.
Yeah.
Kansas City was surprised of this for some time with their But nah, I'm happy for the Chiefs. I don't know if they're gonna run it back. It'd be cool if they did, but it's hard to do it in the NFL, man. So I mean, it's gonna be exciting to see what happens.
Yo, you got any thoughts?
Well, yes. And you know, this was the first time I've ever watched the Super Bowl by myself. So I was running all through the house.
Oh, Lord.
Right. But I think we have a good chance because we did add speed on our defense. Now, if Tyron get them dudes up to speed, Lord, I hope they can get in. This pandemic is just messing up everything. But I think we built up on our defense pretty good because we did add some speed. So, you know, like that offense is just killer. So I'm just a little concerned about our line. If we keep that line together and get that left side right, we got a good chance. But yeah, I was super excited. I was running outside yelling everything. I didn't go too far out because people were shooting like it was the 4th of July.
Right.
But
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just like, dang, y'all, come on. But
That's
yeah, it was
KC.
just a good feeling. And I went to the parade. I was there early and everything. Didn't get cold because I was standing on the grass. Thank God. Oh, wait, that was fun.
All right, Dave.
All right, man. So I'm gonna say congratulations to all the diehard Chiefs fans that have been waiting for this for 50-some odd years, whatever. And then for all y'all bandwagon Chiefs fans that just jumped on board. So, congratulations to all y'all, all them. But nah, it was cool to see the hometown do something good. Like, I mean, the Chiefs I'm 33 years old. The Chiefs have broken my heart every 33 years. So, for me, I literally called my dad. I was like, "Yo, is this real? Like, did they just win this thing?" So, I did not. I did not participate in none of those parade stuff. I did not go down nowhere to celebrate. My day continued. My life continued as normal. So congratulations to them. Shout out to the Honey Badger. That is my favorite Chiefs. That dude is a beast.
I love him.
But other than that, like, hey, good luck next year is all I can say. Because it's like Kerr said, it's hard to win twice in a row. But
yeah.
It's hard to get one, and we got it. So, I mean, yeah.
Man. I was so happy the Chiefs won. I think me, Yolanda, and Darian, we the ones that picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. And, you know, throughout the season, we like, man, I was like, man, I don't know if this defense is going to be able to hold up, you know, because, you know, I was losing faith in them, to be honest. But
they finally
it was
stepped
crazy
up.
because at the Super Bowl, I was at work and I was watching it. And like we was down by 20-10 or whatever. And I think David Dre had texted me or whatever. And I was like, man, if they can make one more stop, they can win this game or whatever. And they made that stop, dude. I was speeding home, to my so I could watch the end of it. And you know, we know the rest is history or whatever. And I'll say this too, like anytime I might be feeling down or something, I watch Chiefs highlights, and I just get super happy. You know what I'm saying? I get geeked.
Oh my God! When I'm down, I watch
Houston. I watched the
Cavs 2016.
I know against the Warriors. I know it.
Oh man, those are some great highlights too, boy. LeBron and Kyrie go nuts.
Hey, glass.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap this show up. You know, it's been great being back. Look forward to future shows. But, yeah, we just wanted to definitely get back and show you guys that we're still here, and definitely wanted to talk about this Last Dance doc and how much of a great show it was and great depiction of the Bulls and their championship runs. So anybody have any final words before we get out of here?
It was so good seeing y'all and talking to y'all.
Yeah.
Like, I know everything's been going crazy, and you know what I mean, we haven't really seen each other in a while, you know what I mean, but it was so good seeing y'all. I love y'all. I hope everything is going good at home, and you know, hope the families are blessed and well and everything. I can't wait to meet with you guys on a Saturday and do this again.
Support.
Likewise, brother.
Yes.
I ain't doing this.
All
We
right,
keep
well-
talking about the Chiefs.
Hey, we get a chance to we become more, baby.
Kansas City
My
Chiefs been so
homeboy.
cocky now. Oh my goodness.
My homeboy.
Super cocky.
Hey, man. They like KU basketball fans right there.
Oh,
Man, I was just thinking.
man.
Number one, final balls, baby. National champs. Come on, man.
Stop it. Mm-mm.
No,
my
they would have
goodness.
found some way to lose that championship.
Exactly. Thank you,
I know
Mike.
that.
Mike,
You know that, there.
ain't on a good note, Mike. Ain't
Might
on
not
a
have
good
no program after all this stuff.
All right. Well, again, thanks for tuning in to. Oh, go ahead.
I
Yo,
just want
go
to
ahead.
give a shout out to Raytown South boys basketball team. They made it to the Final Four, even though they didn't get to play, but they still get a ring and everything. All the Final Four teams
That's
because
good.
of the stuff they wasn't been able to play. But shout out to them.
Right.
Lord help them next year though, because them seniors was probably the last of the weekends.
I feel you. All right. Well, we're gonna go. Like I said, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. Again, we thank you for tuning in to the Unusual Suspects, and we hope to come to you again in the near future. So you guys have a great day, a great weekend. Love you. Peace.